unless you watched Vlogust with me. It is time for Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. My name is Deborah, and I'm coming to you from here on my family farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks, where I like to do all the crafts. I knit, I crochet, I sew, I quilt, I make baskets, I make jewelry. I'm going to learn to tat, more about that later. I'll try any craft once and twice if I like it. I am also a professor of physics and astronomy at a local university where I teach classes to physics majors, to general education majors, to people trying to get into medical school or PT school, and I volunteer doing planetarium programs and STEM activities and women in STEM activities, and I have decided to pursue a new teaching and excellence track, which I'll talk more about in a little while. And last but not least, I am a farmer. I am a third, at least, generation family farmer, and I raise grass-fed beef cattle, I raise horses, I have show quality rabbits, I have heritage poultry, and I have a retirement herd of horses, donkeys, miniature donkeys, a miniature mule named Pumpkin who thinks she rules the roost, and now Princess Penny the pot-bellied pig. And as you can tell from my sweet little co-host Willie here, I am fur kid mom to 13 dogs, 7 indoor cats, and an undetermined number of outside cats. So if any or of all of that sounds interesting to you, come on along while we go to episode number, I have no idea because I didn't look it up, Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. Okay, if you're looking for us on social media, my farm Facebook page is the same as my YouTube channel name. It is Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, and I post farm-related articles and pictures and all that good stuff. You can also find me on both Instagram and Ravelry as Doc Firewoman, and there is a Ravelry group for the podcast, Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, where you can find out about make-alongs and giveaways and all that good stuff, and we'll talk more about make-alongs in just a minute. I am also on Twitter, but I am a pretty liberal leaning Democrat, and that's where I vent all my political frustrations. So, you know, if you, that kind of stuff gives you heartburn, probably want to avoid Twitter, but otherwise I keep it to a dull roar most places, unless it crosses the line of bad science, and then I can't keep my mouth shut, so you'll just have to bear with me on those occasions. Anyway, so there are some make-alongs going on in our group. We have several that are running through the end of the year. The first one is the Farmer's Almanac make-along, and I am, again, behind on getting my post up. I plan on trying to work on it tonight and getting it up, even though we're already into the first week of September. But I have gotten caught up on the prize awardings, and thank you to Jessica from Two Sticks and String podcast for graciously donating prizes to the winners of the July Farmer's Almanac make-along. Those should have already gone out to the appropriate winners. The next one is the Creature Feature, which I am hosting jointly with Laura from the Crocheting Whovian podcast. The quarter we are on right now is Wild and Woolly, so wild creatures are what's appropriate to make for this for a double entry, but you can make anything you want to. I've already decided I am going to run that one again next year. I don't know if Laura will be interested in co-hosting it with me, but I am for sure going to run it again next year because I'm just having so much fun and there's so many more that I want to make. Right, Willie? Okay, we will switch over to magical and mythical creatures starting October 1, so get ready for that. Then the next one is the I Like Big Shawls and I Cannot Lie Cal that I'm running with Vanessa from the A Historian Knits podcast. That is for knitted only shawls of greater than 1,200 yards plus as stated in the pattern. I am working finally on the Changes shawl. I dropped the ball. Kirsty and I from Grianaig Creations were supposed to be working on it together, and she has finished hers, and I am just getting good and started on mine. But you'll see that in works in progress. But if, for example, it would work, things like Vertices Unite would work, Fading Point, Starting Point would both work. There's several shawls out there that would work, but 1,200 plus yards is the requirement for that. Then we have the Kit or Get Her Done, where we're going to work through kits, and I have been making progress on a kit or two that I have been working on. So get through those kits. I'm probably going to run that one again next year too. So because I've got enough kits to last me until I'm 178 years old, I have decided, and I just keep getting more. But hey, it's like shopping a craft store in here, so that's okay with me. And then the last one is Never Have I Ever. Never Have I Ever is where we learn a new technique, or we learn a new skill, or we learn a new craft. So it can be pretty wide open. I have a Never Have I Ever that I will share with you today when we get to my works in progress. So check all of those out. I am going to start one in October, on October the 15th. For Logan from Leon Alexander, wrote a pie shawl pattern. It's called It's My Party and I'll Pie If I Want To, and I am going to do a make along or a knit along for that specific pattern that will run until March 15th, which is Pie Day of 2020. I will be giving away a couple of copies of that pattern, so I'm going to open a prompt on my Ravelry group where I'll put a writing prompt in there, and I'll probably draw for that. We'll say October 1. October 1st, I'll draw for the prize. So I'll put that thread up, and you can enter to win a copy of the pattern for the make-along. Okay, so that's what is going on with me so far. So let's talk about a few other people's. Right now, Laura of A Crocheting Whovian has started the Back to Hogwarts Make and Read Along, where you can go and read through the Harry Potter books, which I've actually been thinking about doing. I haven't read them in a long time. It's kind of ironic that she decided to start doing that, so I'm thinking about doing that. She's also helping me with Creature Feature. I believe her Whip It Good Cal runs through the end of the year. Vanessa, as already mentioned, has the Big Shawls Cal that she's running with me from A Historian Knits. I think that is the only one that she's currently running. Then the next one is, let me scroll down here, Kirsty's Grianaig Creations. Her neck blanket, Mal just finished, so she doesn't have anything running right now. As far as I know, Yolanda from the Happy Knits podcast doesn't have anything running at present. I think she just finished up one as well. Next, the Knick Knack Knits podcast has some a scrappy cal running, plus her Sock It To Me cal is running. And Sock It To Me is you just have to make one sock. The light is terrible. Let me get back here. There's a light shining off my car out there, and it's making me blow out here. So she has those going on, so that's fun. Ninja Chickens currently has the Fleece Flight knit along going on, which is her pattern that donates to the Livestock Conservancy. That is going on as well, so you can participate in that. I gave away a couple of copies of that pattern earlier this year. Then, as we go on through here, we have, what are you doing? Two Sticks and String is helping with the Back to Hogwarts Mal, it looks like. And also she has her Yoo-Hoo Big Stash Blowout make-along going on. That's Jessica in Germany. Undead Yarn, Heidi has the Finish It or Frog It. And then she also has Undead Yarn make-along, where if you use her yarn, you get in on that one. Vanilla Sock Pig, I don't think she has anything currently going on. I haven't talked to her in a while. I think her health is not so great right now. So Stephanie, we hope you get to feeling better soon. Also, the Yarn and I podcast, Capi, the Yarn and I know she's going to be down at Fiber Fun in the SIP, and I'm thinking about trying to go to Vicksburg, but it's just going to depend on how good I do at the fair. She has an I Love Mickey craft along going on, with an FO thread already open for that. It has to be related to Disney. And then Whatever Makes You Happy along is also going on right now, and I believe it is going on until the end of the year. So you can go check all of those out. Those will all be linked. Different people will be linked that I listen to. I am very behind on knitting podcasts lately. So I apologize for not being more up to date on these things, but my headspace has not been there. But that's okay, right? That's fine. We can all work on other stuff. So now I have some FOs finally to show y'all. So I'm going to make Willie hop down here. He's not going to like that. He is very concerned because there is a piece of pizza here and Baxter is over there, and he's somehow convinced that Baxter is magically going to teleport the pizza over his head where he can't reach it because he has very short legs to him and get the pizza. But trust, it's not going anywhere. Anyway, we're going to go on now and talk about oh no, I'm lying to you. I have a giveaway. Haha. See, it's worth sticking around through my rambling. Mary, my friend from California, Mary Knitter on Ravelry, let me know that Arne and Carlos are doing a special promotion. They have a frog pattern. It's a knitted red-eyed tree frog pattern that they donated to an organization, I believe in Norway, that donates to rainforest restoration and preservation. And because of the horrible fires in the Amazon, which were purposely set, and I raise beef cattle, but I'm not about some slash and burn agriculture. That's just dumb. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, they are doing a special promotion where if you purchase the pattern, you donate to this charity. But it's not through Ravelry. You have to go. She sent me the link through their Instagram feed. But I'm going to give away. She has donated a copy of the pattern for me to give away. And I am going to give away a copy of the pattern as well. So I will also be opening a thread on that. On my Ravelry group for that giveaway, and we'll also draw for that October 1st. So if you're interested, it is a knitted amigurumi of a red-eyed tree frog. I will try to post the link to the page as well, so that if you want to purchase more patterns to help contribute, then by all means go and do that. I think they work out to about $10 a piece, which I realize is very expensive, but it is donating to charity, which is why. So anyway, so now we're gonna go on. I'll show you my finished objects. You gonna get down? You still worried about that cat getting your pizza, aren't you? It's okay. All right, we're gonna go on. Okay, I'm very pleased that I actually have some FOs. I lost my yarny mojo for most of July, but I tell you what, doing Vlogust helped me get it back. So I'm glad that I did Vlogust. I realize that it's not for everybody. But everybody that watched it seemed to really enjoy it. So I'm going to keep on doing it. I always lose viewers when I do those daily vlogs, but I don't really care. I'm never going to have a lot of viewers, but I got good ones, and that's all I care about. So first, I'll show you my two amigurumis. So to finish up the Farm Friends make-along, I made Tex the Longhorn. Okay, Tex the Longhorn is a pattern by Southern Gal Crochet. It is a pay-for pattern on Ravelry. It just happens to be the colors of the University of Texas at Austin for their mascot Bevo. That was purely by accident. I just wanted a brindle longhorn, and the store that I went to, this was my option, or I was going to have a pink one. And I couldn't quite bring myself to make a pink longhorn, although there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, so this is Tex the Longhorn. He's very cute. I'm very proud of how he turned out. Okay, so it took me way longer to make him because I was trying to make him in July and it was just a slog. The pattern is actually very easy and very easy to follow. So Tex the Longhorn by Southern Gal Crochet. Then my next one is a little sea otter. Now I'm going to look up who wrote this pattern because I'm forgetting who did it. But this little sea otter, it was also, was it a pay for pattern or was it free? I can't remember. I need to go look. I'm dreadful. You can tell it's been a minute since I've done this. So the sea otter pattern was, I believe it was free. Let me go double check. It's by Needlehook Creations, and yes, it is a free pattern on Ravelry. Very cute little sea otter here with his little seashell. Okay. Also another very straightforward pattern. I'm very pleased with how he turned out as well. Now I did put doll pellets in him to kind of weigh him down because he does have this oversized head, which would cause him to be a little off kilter at times. But so there's my one of my wild and woolly entries. I want to make a fennec fox next. So I'm planning on starting that after the county fair. So here is my sea otter. Then, when we started back up with meetings and stuff at the beginning of the school year, I needed some good meeting knitting, and I had wanted to remake the sheep love hat. So I did. I've still got my needles attached because I need to finish it off, but I remade the sheep love hat. I went up a size, and I also did a better job. I made the ribbing a little bit longer. I think my color work turned out a little bit nicer this time. I still need to wash and block this, but I feel like my floats they're not neat and tidy like a lot of people's are, but I'll take them, okay? There's a couple of places where I got them really loosey-goosey because I was so worried about getting too tight with my color work. But one of the advantages of being a loose knitter is you kind of have that working in your favor. So there's the sheep love hat. This was a free pattern, is available on Ravelry. I believe it was made for the New Hampshire Wool Festival a couple of years ago. And so now it's a free pattern. Very straightforward. It's a nice introductory color work project. This is only my second color work project, and I made the other one was the first one of these that I made. And I was carrying that around in my Kitty Cat's bag from April 9 Designs, and it's just knit out of Cloudborne Blueprint Craftsy, whatever you want to call it, their Cloudborne Highland DK yarn. Okay, so those are my finished objects that I want to show, but I have quite a few whips to share, so we're going to move on to those. Okay, so I have a few different whips I want to share with you. I'll show you my knitting ones first. I don't have any current crochet whips to share with you today, but I'll show you my knitting ones. In my Whales bag by Republica Unicornia out of Atlanta here, I am doing my Never Have I Ever, and my entry into my Never Have I Ever is the Flax Light. I am knitting a baby sweater for, and I don't know that she's going to see this, so I'll go ahead and say it. It is for Sasha and Jim, my friend Sasha who works at the park. They are expecting their son Samuel in October. And so I wanted to make them a handmade gift for Samuel. So I decided to do my first sweater ever. I tried to start one, remember, a long time ago, and I got like 10 rows in and just went, no, this is not working. The yarn's coming apart. So I'm knitting the Flax Light in the 6 to 12 month year old size, and I thought it'd be a great way for me to learn sweater construction on something that did not take a huge amount of time. And like the people in the VKN said, if you can knit shawls, you can knit a sweater. So I am knitting this out of Expressions Fiber Arts. This is Lucky Ducklings is the colorway, and this is their 100% Superwash Merino Resilient Sock yarn. So Expressions Fiber Arts. And the reason I chose this color is because Samuel's nursery is going to be woodland themed. It's going to be woodland animals and woodland creatures. And I have a sewing work in progress that's also for him. So I am ready to split for the sleeves. It's a sweater that's knitted top down for those of you, like the two of you in the entire universe that are not familiar with this pattern. I'm ready to split for the sleeves. So I'm going to do that today. And then I'm going to keep on a trucking on the body, which will be great because when I have to sit around at the fair next week waiting for my turn to show, I'll just have some stockinette to work on, which will be just Jim Dandy. Okay, so Flax Light, well, it goes this way, I guess. Flax Light in the 6 to 12 month year old size. I love Tin Can Knits patterns. Everybody knows this already, but they're very easy to follow, and they have lots of helpful tutorials. So if you're thinking about knitting your first sweater, I think that would be a good choice because it's my first one, and so far it has gone very well, and everything seems to make perfect sense. So I'm very pleased about that. Okay, so that's my first one. That back over here. Okay, my next work in progress is in my Spiders bag by A Magpie Knits, Agatha A Magpie Knits out of Louisiana. I am knitting the Bowie Shawl, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Linnea Ornstein, the Bowie Shawl. And it is a beautiful shawl it's worked with short rows to give those triangle shapes. And I am knitting it out of the two colors I picked are both from Moontower Dyeworks out of Austin, Texas. This one is one of her one-of-a-kind colorways, and then this is You're a Lizard, Larry. And this is on her, let me look at the base name here, if I can remember. Well, if I can get it undone. It's on her Europa sock base, which is an 8515 superwash merino nylon. So Moontower Dyeworks, she is a lovely human being, and I encourage you to check out her beautiful yarn. So go check her out. And I am not very far on this, but I have made some progress. I like this because it is fairly easy to follow, and it's good before class knitting. So I'm just getting into my first section of short row shaping there. So it's supposed to be knit with sport weight, but I decided to go ahead and do fingering weight because that was what I had. And I thought that, you know, use what you got, right? Use what you got. So got that going there. That is my before class, one of my before class knitting projects. Then, because Kirsty did an Instagram live about her changes shawl, and I got on there and said, you know, I haven't touched mine. And she's like, Deborah, you were supposed to help me, be with me. And I'm like, sorry. In April 9 Designs, Llamas, and Alpacas bag here, I have my changes shawl, which is by the Knitting Expat. Those of you who are not familiar with this pattern. This is what it looks like open. Okay. It's a beautiful, big, squishy shawl. And I am working just on the central section, and I'm in the middle of a row because I went and had my car worked on today, and I was in the middle of the row when they came in with the keys. But I'm just working on the central dimpled section right now. And yes, I'm a loose knitter, so don't judge. Anyway, so I am on my something third repeat of 13, I think, or fourth, maybe third. Where'd it go? Third repeat of 13 of that centered section. So, but at least I'm working on it. Progress is progress, and even if it's small, progress is progress. So there we go. This color is Kimmery Knit-Knacks. This is just called Steel. It's a beautiful tonal gray color. And then for the other colors, I selected packages of her Neon Minis because I thought that'd be a nice pop of color in with that gray. So haven't got there yet, but you'll see when I get there. And I'm going to really strive to try to finish this by the end of the year so that I can have an entry in the big shawl thing. Okay, the next thing that I'm working on is actually something for work. And those of you who follow my Instagram feed know a little bit about this already. But I was approached. There's several faculty members and staff members at my university who knit. And we decided to participate in the Tempestry Project. The Honors College is doing a thing about climate change. And they are creating an interactive display, or a display of how the global temperatures have varied. Excuse me. So those of us who volunteered each were assigned a year. I was assigned 1925. So what this is like one of those temperature blankets where they do the gradient of colors with the different color days. And then we're going to do over a period, I think it's a century. I think they've chosen to do it over a century. So they gave us a key to the colors. They gave us all the yarn. And our stop date is September 20th. And then they're going to display them. So this Tempestry hanging, and it's going to have tons of ends, but the way they're going to put it together, I actually don't have to weave in my ends. I am almost through July of 1925. It's a very simple project because it's just garter stitch. Okay, so you can see there as you move your way down how it looks, and you can tell my gauge has changed a little bit right there. It's gotten a little bit narrower. Anyway, so they're going to hang these all up and demonstrate how the temperature has changed over time, which I think is a really cool visual idea. So we're doing this just out of Wool of the Andes. They gave us the colors we needed. I've got a mistake right there, but you know, one mistake's not going to kill it. Anyway, I went the wrong way. Sometimes because of the way the temperature changes, you have to purl back instead of knit back, and I get confused a little bit sometimes. I've done that once before where I was going the wrong way on the side. I've got me a stitch marker to mark my odd and even days. So, yeah, so I am, where am I at? I am on July 19th of 1925 is where I'm at. So, I work on this actually at work mostly in between classes. I'll spend, maybe 20 or 30 minutes or at lunch working on it simply because there's so many yarns hanging off of it that the cats would just have a field day with it, so it's just easier for them to be angels in heaven and me not have this around them. So those are my yarny works in progress. I have a few other items to show you. Let me put that all back in there. So I have, in my needlework area, I am still working on back stitching. I'm still back stitching on my little Noah's Ark guy here. So it's going to look like this when it's finished. I don't know if I'm going to back stitch all the words or not. I may cheat and just do the little figure on there. But I think he's going to be really cute when it's all done. And back stitching really does set off the work. It makes it look really beautiful when it's all done. The other piece of needlework that I'm currently working on is my plastic canvas needlework. The plastic canvas piece is, let me get it out here, show you what it looks like. It's a piece by Jim Shore. It's a welcome sign. It's a pumpkin. I was going to try to finish this for the fair, and I just decided, you know, anything that wasn't done, completely done, and just ready to be washed and finished out or whatever it needed by Sunday of this past week, I wasn't going to mess with. And this didn't get done, so that's fine. But it's going to look like this when it's done. It's really cute. It has very minimal back stitching. It just accents the flowers and then the words, the welcome sign words. So this is how far I am. I'm very close to being finished with the pumpkin. And then I'll do my back stitching, and then I still have to do the whip stitch around the edge. I'll cut it out and then whip stitch around the edge and then do the welcome sign. And you know what? It can go in the fair next year, and that will be just fine. So anyway, so there's that. That's my needlepoint or needlework type stuff. I have a couple of sewing whips that I will share with you. I'm finishing up just a little ornament. And this may not look like much, but this was one my mother had started. I found it in some of her stuff, and it was cut out with the batting and everything on it. So I took just a little piece of Christmassy yarn and put in there as a hanger, and I've sewed it up and stuffed it. I just need to whip stitch it closed, and then I'm going to embellish it a little bit. So it may not be very extravagant, but it has a lot of meaning behind it, and it will quite happily go on my family heirloom Christmas tree this Christmas. Another thing that I've got to finish is this Valentine's Day vest. Now, I had it done last year, I thought, but I got to looking, and when I had sewed my lining, I caught threads on the outside. So I have picked those out, and I am going to do a better job this time of sewing it up and enter it in the fair as a sewing item. So all it needs is just those sewn up. So this will go in the fair this year. I'll have to iron it because it's been kind of mauled around a little bit here, but I caught it on, I don't know how I did that, but I managed to get my threads showing, and I caught that as I was walking in to enter it in last year's fair, and I went, oh no, that's not going in the fair, no, quality control said no. Okay, so I'll put it in there this year. It'll be cute to have in there this year. Okay. I am finishing, and this is one thing I did kind of break my rule a little bit. I wanted to enter an apron, and so I've got all the parts cut out, and most importantly, I have got all the straps turned. So now I just need to sew the backing on, the lining on, and put the, with the straps, and sew it closed, and it will be done. This is a little gingerbread man apron like I made Miss Betsy for Christmas. So it's there, and I wanted to say a special word. If you're the kind of person that believes in healing energy or prayer or whatever, I wish that y'all would keep Miss Betsy's youngest granddaughter, Abigail, in your thoughts. I probably shouldn't be telling this, but I'm going to tell anyway. She has a tumor in her tear duct. They found out this morning. She was having problems with her eye. Miss Betsy called me after the CAT scan, and she's very worried. They are going to do surgery, and you know, the word tumor frightens people, and also Abigail is less than a year old. I think she's about 9 months old now. So that's also scary when you have a small baby that has to undergo surgery. So just keep a good thought out. If you're that kind of person, we would appreciate the good thoughts here. I'm going to go by and take care of Midnight. She was leaving. She called me in a panic because she was basically just flying out the door as soon as she found out. And so I told her that I would feed her dog, because she doesn't know how long she's going to have to be up there. They don't know if they're going to do the surgery today or tomorrow. And the reason she is going is she's going to stay with her other 3 grandchildren while Abigail's parents go on up to Kansas City to the children's hospital to have the surgery done. So she's going to stay, basically babysit. So they don't know how long Abigail will have to be in the hospital, how long they'll have to be up there. So Miss Betsy will just be up there until they are able to, until the baby's able to come home. Okay, so now, the other thing that I have done is, I showed this on my Vlogust, but years ago, my friend Jackie gave me this printed panel. She had already made the large sheep, and she had never gotten around to making the small sheep, so I'm in the process of making the small sheep. And I've got her ears and her tail in this Ziploc bag, so I just need to finish stuffing her and then sew her up and sew on the tail. I'm going to put some eyes on her. And I got on eBay and I found another one of these panels that has both the mother and the baby sheep on it. So now I will have a mama and twins that she'll have. So it actually arrived today. It came in the mail today. So I will have that to sew up, and that'll be for next year. And I already found in my auxiliary craft room where I store my basket making stuff and my wreath making stuff and extra feed sacks and all my my canning and stuff when I'm not my canning stuff when I'm not using it. I found a basket that I had bought for the purpose of making a Easter centerpiece, and so these guys will be perfect to create a floral arrangement around and use as an Easter centerpiece for next year's fair. Not this year. Okay, last but not least, I will show this. This is another present for Samuel. This, when I went to Marshall Dry Goods on my birthday, I bought a bolt of these things because they came in a bolt, and that's how you had to buy them. And I know a couple of 3 people having babies, so I'll make some baby gifts. It is a growth chart. Okay, it's got woodland animals on it. That's why I bought it. It's got woodland animals on it, and it's a little growth chart. You can see here. So I've got it sewn. I just need to sew up the bottom by hand, and then I'm going to quilt it a little bit so it will look nicer. And then that will be another gift for Samuel when he gets here. So, yay. Okay, I think that is all the works in progress I'm going to share with you guys this week. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about future crafting, and then we'll see what we get up to after that. Okay, well, I'm not going to show any fiber related well, that's not true. I am going to show one thing. It's a crochet piece. I want to make this backpack. I bought this on a sale from Blueprint, and it is the dinosaur backpack crochet kit. Isn't it cute? Isn't that sweet? I thought he was just adorable. So I got that kit. I need to get that put together. They send you, of course, everything, including the stuffing for it. So it's all together here, just waiting for me to get a free moment to work on it. So I want to, I'm one of those people where even though I've got 5 other things started, I'll just get a bee in my bonnet that I want to make something in particular, like that sheep love hat. I hadn't picked I just barely cast it on and back in February, and I laid it to the side, and then when all these meetings started up, I thought I need something knitting. I'm going to do that. So I picked it up and started working on it. So I kind of get a bee in my bonnet about doing that stuff. The other thing is I want to make this little doll. This is Homespun Hannah. She's a printed panel. It's a little Americana doll. See, she's holding a little quilt there. So she's all printed on this, and I want to get this made up. And I'm going to put it aside for next year's fair. But I like making dolls. I think it's fun. So I found this and some of the stuff that I got from Bargains Galore on 64. You guys saw some of the, if you watched Vlogust, you saw some of the craft stuff that I got. I found some neat books, an old circular, an old doily booklet from 1944. And I bought some fabric, and in the bag of fabric was this. So I'm going to make her up. I thought she was really cute. That's pretty much all that I'm going to show for future crafting this week. I know that's not very much, but I have so many plates spinning right now that I really don't want to talk about too much more. So now I've just got a few acquisitions that I did not show during Vlogmas that I will show to you, and then we will move on, okay? Okay, I don't have very many acquisitions to show because I showed several things during Vlogmas. If you want to see those, you can go back and look at that. I'm just going to briefly show a couple of things. First of all, some project bags. I don't think I've showed this one already, but if I have, I apologize. I got this one on a D-stash. This was a bag, it looks like, by Zigzag Stitches. I don't even know if they still exist or not. But if they do, it's a cute little woodland creatures bag. It's made kind of like a toiletry bag. The shape that it has, it's more of a box shape. You can kind of see here on the end, it's more of a box shape with a handle to carry it like this. But I just couldn't resist the woodland creatures. The woodpecker kind of sold it for me. I love that woodpecker. But they're all adorable. So I'm a sucker for fabric like that. But anyway, so I got that on a D-stash. Then I won a prize from the Knit Knack Knits podcast. And it's this awesome bag with these moths on it. Isn't that neat? I don't mind moths when they're outside, right? And it's got pockets on the front of it, which is kind of cool. It's a nice drawstring bag here. And then she also sent me some stitch markers as well. I didn't bring those. They're in my one of my other bags, but yeah, so that's really pretty moth fabric. I think that's beautiful. And then Carrie from Night Moon Dyeworks had given me a skein of yarn for my birthday. It's called This Is Halloween. And I got it in my head that I wanted to make a shawl, a DK weight shawl, a 3-color DK weight shawl. So I've picked out a couple of patterns. And I wanted something to go with that This Is Halloween colorway. So Carrie, she's got Long Night Moon. It's Long Night Dyeworks, I think, on Etsy. But if you just look up Long Night Moon on Instagram or on Etsy, let's see. Let's see if she's got it on here. LongnightDyeworks.com is where you can find her. But I picked up these two colors. This colorway is called a Mortentia. This beautiful purple. And then the other colorway is called, where'd it go? Pumpkin Juice. So those will go perfect with that This Is Halloween colorway. And I'm going to knit a 3-color shawl. And the thing that I like about those colors is they don't necessarily scream Halloween. That you can just wear them all fall long. I mean, they're nice, beautiful autumnal colors. So I think that those are beautiful. This is her DK base here. And she's got some beautiful bright colorways. Her unicorn series is really cool. She's got like Goth Unicorn and Baby Unicorn, and Cosmic Hissy Fit is another one that I really like. So Long Night Dyeworks or Long Night Moon Dyeworks, check her out. That's my friend Carrie, so I highly recommend her. The only other exciting thing that I got is I bought myself a new pair of fabric scissors. My scissors have been getting a little bit dull, and I have nobody to blame but me and the fact that they're getting kind of old. I probably should just sharpen them, but these were on sale, so I bought myself a backup pair of fabric scissors. So that's my acquisitions, and that's all the yarny content, or the crafty content, I should say, for this week. So now I'm going to move on and talk about science. Okay, so I'm back on campus now, and school is going really well. We're off and running with a new school year, and I'm doing a couple of different things this semester. One of the things that I decided to do was through the Center for Teaching Excellence, which you saw the video if you watched my Vlogmas with my friend Amy talking a little bit about that. They have different teaching excellence tracks that you can participate in and qualify for. And I have chosen to do the one on diversity and inclusion because I think not only is that something that we've had conversations about, obviously, in the fiber community, and it's ongoing just in the world right now because of the state of the world that we live in. I think for our students, it's a very important thing because I think that we have students from all walks of life, from all different countries, there's just a very broad population of students on campus, and I want to do my best to make my students feel welcome and included in the conversation. I like this concept of moving to inclusion because diversity acknowledges that people have different stories. People have different backgrounds. They've had different experiences, and we acknowledge those differences. But now what we need to do is become inclusive. We need to allow people to have a voice at the table. And so I like that concept, particularly in my field, because my field is primarily dominated by, as my co-workers who are middle-aged white men like to say, dominated by middle-aged white men. And, it is getting more diverse, and as we see our student crop, but I want to do what I can to make my students feel more welcome and included. So I've signed up for this track. So one of the things that and diversity is not just about racial diversity and ethnic diversity, although that is very important. It's also about gender diversity, and it's about neurodiversity, different learning styles because of being neuroatypical. Like someone who has Asperger's or autism is not neurotypical, but they still are very adept at science. So how do we include those people, or people with dyslexia? So what our CTE does is they offer this program, and you have to participate in a variety of things. There's different benchmarks you have to reach. So I signed up for a book club about women and women's leadership, and how women lead differently than men, or how women create differently than men. And we're reading this book called Big Magic. It's Creative Living Beyond Fear, and it's by Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And so we're going to read this book together over the course, I guess, of the fall, and talk about it. And I think this will help me, because I find myself sometimes acting in a way where I step back because I'm, traditional gender roles still are ingrained in here. And then what happens is I get angry and resentful. So I want to read this book and find better skills for that. Then also you have to participate in a certain variety of workshops. So we have both traditional type workshops where I've signed up for a couple of those. The main one that I remember is one about dyslexia in the classroom. And then also you participate in these lunch and learns, which I've talked a little bit about. I'm doing a couple of different ones of those. The first one is actually coming up Monday, and I can't remember which one that is, but I'll have to look it up. And then also I'm in the Women in Academic Leadership Learning Community. So we're having a meeting tomorrow about role-playing difficult conversations. And we all have had those difficult conversations, whether it's about grades, or it's about student performance, or it's about, we may have been on the receiving end of some difficult information that we had to deal with, and how to better respond to that. And so I saw a really cool thing on Facebook where this girl had posted, or maybe it was on Twitter, where my first response when I see certain types of people wearing, say, a bikini is, well, what do you think you're doing? And then I think to myself, that was a jerky thing to say. I should just go, yeah, you do that. I need to retrain my mind. And then I feel bad. And someone said, actually, my mama always taught me that the first thing that you generally think or say is what you were ingrained with as in your upbringing. The second thing that you think of is who you are and how you've tried to improve upon that. And the person said, your mama is amazing. And I thought, isn't that true? Because and that's the key to all of this, in my opinion. It's, yes, we have reactions that are ingrained just because of the way we were raised. I was raised as a white woman in the South, and I was brought up in a certain framework, and I saw things that I were, what my normal was. Now I look at it and go, ooh. But that gut reaction is so deeply buried in there sometimes that I have to work against that. So rather than belittling myself if I have a thought but I don't put a voice to it, I go, no, let's change that narrative. So I work very hard at trying to do that. So instead of beating myself up for having those conditioned responses, my follow through should be, how do I change that narrative? How do I change that experience? How do I improve that experience for that person, or not necessarily for that person, but how do I change my narrative so that I am not belittling, but I am inclusive? So that's something that I really have wanted to work on, and I don't know if I said that very well, but hopefully y'all get the point. Also this year we're doing our service learning project again. I would like to sign up to get that program recognized through the Office of Service Learning, because I think it's a really cool thing that I've been doing with the science camp, and the kids are what make it great. I am just the organizer. I'm not going to take any credit for the awesome activities and everything. I'm just the organizer of it, but I would love to see that program recognized as a program of excellence by the service learning people. So I'm going to work on trying to get that done. So that's kind of my goals for this year. I mean, I spent the first year after I got my promotion to full professor kind of going, okay, now what do I do? Because that's what I had been pushing for, pushing pretty much in my entire teaching career, 20 years, to get to that pinnacle. Oh, there's a cat in the window and it's pecking on the window. One of the barn cats wants to be on the vlog. So I kind of got to the end of that road and went, now what do I do, And I really think I have found my niche and now blossoming into this other area. And my department chair really made me feel good. He said, you're doing exactly the right thing. I think that what you're doing with that class is great, and I want to see you continue to do that. So that really made me feel good. But anyway, so that's kind of what's going on. I have a couple of interesting things that I want to talk about. I listened to a really cool video about obscure units that relates to knitting, kind of, and we'll talk about that. And then I want to talk about hurricanes a little bit. So yeah, so that's where we're going to go next. One of the things I wanted to talk about, I heard this really cool video on SciShow, which I've talked about several times, the SciShow family of channels, was how shoe size was determined, was one of the weird units they were talking about, and it was determined by the barley corn. A barley corn is 1/3 of an inch. If you've ever wondered why shoe sizes go up the way they do, they don't go up in increments of inches or whatever. The original shoe size was based on a barley corn, and this was part of the family of units that has like the hand in it. If you're a horse person, you know that a hand down here is 4 inches. So the barley corn was the standard of measurement that determined the original way that shoe sizes were measured, and it was literally 3 barley corns per inch. But of course, barley corns don't all have the same size, when you look at it, and then we end up getting into the different types of shoe sizing. If you look on here, it talks about the different types of shoe sizes. But that was how shoes were originally measured. They took the idea that the barley corn would be the child's size 0 shoe was that they thought the smallest size that you could ever get, and then they went up by a certain number of barley corns for each shoe size. So I thought it was kind of cool that video had some other things on it too that were really neat, but I thought it was really neat because the barley corn was actually related to knitting and crocheting and stuff because of that. So there's an example of the barley corn. It's 3 per inch. So I thought I would share that with you guys. I thought that was kind of a cool tie-in. And like I said, if you haven't checked out SciShow, it's a really cool place where you can watch videos about science that are nice and short and easily digestible. So I recommend that SciShow channel. So the way hurricanes are ranked is on the Saffir-Simpson scale. And if you'll notice, it goes up, they've got it by miles per hour here and then kilometers per hour. And this had to do with, the reason it's 74 is nautical miles per hour is different than regular miles per hour. Nautical mile, I believe, is 6,000 feet, where regular mile is 5,280 feet. So that's why this is a weird number. But category 1, and then you've got your storm surge, and then kind of the type of damage that it produces. And this is actually from the Belizean Meteorological Society. But category 1, here you see it's 74 to 95 miles per hour sustained winds with a storm surge of 4 to 5 feet. Category 2 goes up to 110. Category 3 goes up to 130. And category 3 and above is considered devastating damage, and then it becomes catastrophic. Now, Dorian, which has just been threatening the East Coast and Florida, is here. It was a category 5 with sustained wind speeds of greater than 156 miles per hour and a storm surge in excess of 18 feet with catastrophic damage. Okay, Dorian right now, it ended up stalling out, which actually could make it stronger, because hurricanes are fed off of heat. Anything where they can get a source of heat, which is primarily water, stores a lot of heat, so they actually get stronger. So Dorian is a Cat 5 this year, and actually the last several years we've had category 5s. In 2018 it was Hurricane Michael, which was interesting because it actually crossed the it went across the Yucatan Peninsula, and it went over Central America in such a way that it went from the Atlantic to the Pacific, because our hurricanes primarily come from the Atlantic, or are from the Atlantic. There are Pacific hurricanes, and occasionally they will hit Hawaii. We don't hear as much about them because they tend to move out into the open ocean. Then in 2017, we had Irma and Maria. Irma is the one that hit the Florida Keys, and then Maria is the one that did such devastating damage in Puerto Rico. So, and then of course there are other famous ones like Katrina and Camille and all of these different ones. But Dorian being a Cat 5, this is what it means. It had sustained winds in excess of 156 miles per hour with a storm surge that's at least 18 feet and could be considerably more than that. So, as you're listening to the news talk about these hurricanes, that gives you a sense of how strong that they can be. The storm surge only occurs on what's called the dirty side of the storm, which is the side of the storm that is on the back side where the direction of motion and the rotation speed combine. So you've got this little eye graphic of a hurricane here. Say this hurricane is moving this direction. Hurricanes, because in the northern hemisphere, because they're low pressure, rotate counterclockwise. So on this side of the storm, say you were over here, the storm is moving that direction, the rotation is occurring that direction, and so it pushes the water into shore, causing the storm surge. And so that's the side where you have the storm surge. So I just wanted to mention that because there was all the talk about hurricanes in the news because of Dorian's proximity to the East Coast. So I'm going to turn my camera back. Yeah, one other thing that I wanted to share is in my physics majors class, we got to talking about the different families of musical instruments. And I know that there were different families of like woodwind instruments because that's what I played and that was my area of expertise. But one of my students showed me a picture of a piccolo trombone, which is this one right here. It's the highest member of the trombone family. Traditionally, when you think of a trombone, you think of this one here. And then sometimes you might see this one occasionally being used. But I never knew that there was such a thing as a piccolo trombone. And here's actually a picture of someone playing it. How tiny is it? So I'm going to link a video of somebody playing the piccolo trombone as well on the show notes. And yes, I'm going to try to do good about getting the show notes up this time. So anyway, yeah. So lots of different musical families have different had different ranges of instruments. So there's the piccolo trombone. Okay, so there's my science explainers for this week. If you don't watch the SciShow video channel, I really encourage you. That is a great channel. The videos are usually not very long. They do a really good job of explaining things, and I think it's just a great way if you're interested in any area of science to learn more stuff. Plus they have some auxiliary channels like SciShow Psych and SciShow Space and SciShow Health where they get into more specific topics. But I think it's a really cool video. And then that stuff about the musical instruments, that takes me back to when I was in band in college and I was in the clarinet choir and I played alto clarinet and contralto clarinet and all this stuff. So I thought it was really fun. So anyway, so now that's our science moment for this week, and we're going to move on and talk about farm life. Okay, well, on the farm, you can definitely tell the seasons are changing. The days, I mean, we're still having pretty warm days, but in the early mornings and in the late evenings, you can feel that breath of fall. The leaves are starting to maybe show the first hints of color. The hummingbirds are moving through on their migration. I'm starting to see monarchs move through on their migration. So, and it's fair time. Woo! The Conway County Fair, which is where my feed store is located, is this week, and I actually went and walked around today in the Arts and Crafts building to look at. So I'll post a few little video clips of that, or I took mostly pictures, but I've got a little video clip. So I'm going to make a fair video this year again. I had a lot of positive response to that, so I'll probably just include that in my fair video once my fair next week is over. I entered all my livestock, had to be entered August 15th, so I got that taken care of. You saw that on the vlog. And then today is actually the deadline for all your other entries: horticulture, floriculture, home economics, which is where all the crafting stuff is. So I got that done actually last night, and I was thinking I just don't have that many things. But then when you put in all my canning, I had 100 entries this year in the fair. I don't know what I think not very many is. But anyway, so I've got, this weekend is going to be washing and blocking and weaving in ends and clipping threads and making sure that it's been de-dog furred and de-cat furred and getting everything organized. And then Monday will be the craft show check-in. Well, you have to take your crafts in to enter them, and then rabbit show check-in, where we just go up. I, as an open shower, just have to go up there and make sure my tattoos are right and all of that stuff. Sunday, I've got to clip rabbit toenails too. Then Tuesday will be, you enter horticulture exhibits. The rabbit show is Tuesday, and then also I got to give my chickens a bath on Tuesday. Then Wednesday is you enter cut flowers in the morning, and then the chicken show starts at noon, and then Thursday you go see how you did. And you know, I have learned not to go in with any expectations. I'm just trying to do the best that I can. I was blown away last year by my success. I don't have any expectation this year. But I'm just going to go and have a good time, because to me it's celebrating the harvest. It's celebrating that harvest time, and it's just an integral part of being a farmer is participating in that fair. So I'm going to do that video again this year, and I hope that y'all enjoy that. If you follow Vlogust, you saw for a day or so I had a 14th dog here. Someone dropped a miniature chihuahua, or a teacup chihuahua, in my front yard. I'm pretty sure I heard them drive up and do it. I was home and I was out back watering the rabbits, and I thought that I heard a car pull up, because my driveway has gravel in it and kind of crunches. And you know, sometimes people pull up and turn around because they missed the turn down Buttermilk Road. But I heard a car pull up and they lingered. So I started to walk around the house and they left. And when I came around the house, there was a dog in my driveway that was not there when I came out of the house to go water the rabbits. She's very old. Her eyes are cloudy. Her teeth are worn down. Her face is gray. Her coat was incredibly matted. She wasn't thin, at least. But I suspect what happened is, again, an elderly person or an older person either died or went to the nursing home, or something has happened and somebody didn't want to be bothered with grandma's dog. And luckily, I mean, I put the word out and checked to see if she was chipped, which I knew she wouldn't be, but had to check anyway. And I put the word out. Nobody knows her. No, of course not, you know. But anyway, so a friend of mine from college was very happy to have her and take her and give her a good retirement home. Her name is now Edna. That's a little old lady name, she said. So that's perfect. Worked out perfectly. She was very sweet. You know, I was sort of halfway tempted to keep her, but let's be real. I didn't need another dog, even a teensy-tiny one. And so, you know, I made the choice that was best for her, not what I thought would be best for me. So, yeah, so also we've been, you saw in the videos, the chiropractic adjustment. Bo was incredibly sore. I was disheartened by how sore he was. Bless his heart. He has been having wither soreness issues for a long time without us really realizing it. And so we got him adjusted, and we're going to, and he also had an abscess in his right front foot. So bless his cotton socks for not just throttling us every time we rode him. So we got him, he's finished his course of antibiotics now. He had his adjustment. I am in the process of shopping for a new wither relief pad for him. So that should help him in terms of his soreness issues. I've been riding Gusty a little bit because Flame has inflamed hocks, which means I'm going to have to get her injected with some steroids for her hocks. And I started her on a joint supplement. But I've been riding Gusty a little bit because the vet suggested that to fit her back up, because the kids don't really ride her collected, which is what we ask for in dressage. So her muscle tone is a little poor, and that's causing her to be sore. So I've been riding her a little bit the last few days, and if you've been following my vlog, you saw that too. Cattle are looking good, growing, like, you know, looking fat and slick and everything. I do have an appointment at the processor for some steers coming up. I've got to get with my friend to see if he can help me load them, because the young man that normally takes them has changed jobs, and now he can't help me load them. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if it's because I got spooked. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but I'm a little anxious about loading them by myself now. I used to not think anything about it, but I have gotten to the point now where I don't want to try to do that. So I'm going to talk with a friend of mine to see if he will help me. So, you know, that's part of it. You know, and again, as being a conscious meat eater, I mean, I want to be, if I'm going to eat meat, as I've talked about before, I want to be aware of the cost of it, you know, and so that's, you know, part of what I do. So, Willie, you can't have that piece of pizza. I know you think Baxter's going to get it, but no. But anyway, so that's going on. Of course, fair is consuming everything right now as far as prep around here goes. But things are going well. One of the men, well, my friend that I've known forever that gets me hay, he's in the process of getting hay up here, but I traded my mowing machine for some hay this year, and the man was kind enough to donate me 10 extra bales for taking care of all these donkeys and horses and stuff. He said, you know, you don't ask for any money ever, and I just want to help you out. I want to give you 10 bales of hay. And I thought that was really generous of him to do. I thought I was very touched by that. I have got to get out and start bush hogging. I did not get any done during August. I kept talking about doing it, and then I couldn't get my tractor started, and I just kind of got disgusted and quit. So I've got to get out and start doing that fairly soon. It's just, I hate when I get home from work, it's so hot, and I'm just not motivated to get out there and do it, but I've got to get out there. So after the fair, I'm going to get out there and start doing my bush hogging. The other thing is I let my garden get away from me, so I'm going to have to figure out, I'm going to pull everything up out of the garden that's not permanent. So like my berry bushes and stuff, I'm going to leave alone. But I'm going to have to do some different weed control mulch or something, because they just got away from me. This year it's pigweed, which I found out using the Seek app. It's actually called Cuban jute. And then also I've got fireweed, which is growing up, and I've got to do something about that. So this fall I'm going to have to explore some options for weed control, because I want to have a better garden. I actually started out doing really great with my garden, but when I went to Mystic South, the squash bugs ate all my squash, and I kind of got disgusted and quit. And I need to not do that, because it was going great guns until then. There was no reason for me to give up on it other than that. So I've got to find some organic control for the squash bugs as well, because they decimated my squash and zucchini and pumpkins. So I've got to find an organic control for that. Also, the bagworms on my quince tree, I'm going to have to do something about, because I actually had quince this year. I have quince set fruit this year. I've got 3 or 4 pretty good looking ones. I had pomegranates also too. I have a little tiny deciduous pomegranate tree. They don't get very big, but they are on there, so I'm very tickled about that. I hope that fireweed has not killed off my raspberry bushes, because my raspberries and my blackberries are looking a little puny. So I'm going to try to plant some more next year, and I'm going to have to do something better about the weed management. My little peach trees, though, that I got from Sasha are looking really good, so I'm happy about that. But anyway, so that's kind of a bit of a ramble about what's going on in the farm. So yeah, so now we're going to come back and talk, have a few final thoughts. Okay, I gave up and let Willie have the piece of pizza, so he's down on the floor eating it right now. But I've been thinking about farming, both because of positive things and also because of negative things. I saw some posts that were very sad to me. There was a school in California where members of the FFA, wearing their FFA clothing, harassed some LGBT students. And obviously they didn't speak for the whole organization, but they shouldn't have done that. I mean, they shouldn't have done that, period, but they surely shouldn't have done it while they were being representatives for that organization. And of course, 4-H and FFA catches a lot of flack about the animals, you know, because a lot of the animals do go to slaughter. But, you know, I realize that we probably, is it Michael Pollan that says eat meat but not that much? He doesn't suggest that the whole world become vegan because it's just not tenable. It's also not affordable for some people to do that. That's why I try to grow my own as much as possible and buy responsibly raised meat whenever possible. And yeah, it does require a sacrifice on that animal's part. And, you know, but my way of looking at the world, I think it's called animism, where everything has a soul and everything is alive and everything is, you know, to me there's this energy that runs through everything. So everything is alive in that way to me. So anyway, without getting into a debate about that, I did find an interesting poem that I wanted to read, because part of the reason why I think organizations like that are valuable, and also being a farmer has taught me a lot, is because of what this poem says. It's called The Farmer's Creed, and it's by Frank Mann, and it's very male focused, but I think you can read beyond that. It says, I believe a man's greatest possession is his dignity, and that no calling bestows this more abundantly than farming. I believe hard work and honest sweat are the building block of a person's character. I believe that farmers, despite its hardship and disappointments, are the most I believe that farming, despite its hardships and disappointments, is the most honest and honorable way a man can spend his days on earth. I believe my children are learning values that will last a lifetime and can be earned in no other way. I believe farming provides an education for life, and that no other occupation teaches so much about birth and growth and maturity in such a variety of ways. I believe that many of the best things in life are indeed free. The splendor of a sunrise, the rapture of wide open spaces, and the exhilarating sight of your land greening each spring. I believe true happiness comes from watching your crops ripen in the field, your children grow tall in the sun, and your whole family feel the pride that springs from their shared experience. I believe that by my toil, I am giving more to the world than I am taking from it, an honor that does not come to all men. I believe my life will ultimately be measured by what I have done for my fellow man, and by this standard I fear no judgment. I believe when a man grows old and sums up his days, he should be able to stand tall and feel pride in the life he's lived. I believe in farming because it makes all of this possible. I like that. I think that pretty much sums up how I feel about farm life. So I wanted to share that with you because it's been on my mind as we're prepping for the fair. I was watching some young men come in today to the co-op looking for their show stuff. They needed a clean pair of jeans because their steer had gotten them dirty, and they were getting the hairspray and stuff for fluffing their tails up and everything, and it just got me thinking about that. So if you get a chance, go to your local fair, go to your state fair, walk through the livestock barns and give those kids a good job, attaboy. Or walk through the exhibition hall where people have worked so hard on their quilts or on their crochet or on their baking or on their photography, or those displays that the different 4-H groups or community groups, you know, put up. Go by there and tell them good job. You'll be glad you did, I promise. Willie, you gonna come up here and tell him bye? Come here. He's had his pizza. Come here, buddy. Oh, I know it. So, Willie's got to come say goodbye. So until I see y'all again, I promise it'll be sooner rather than later. Till I see y'all again, y'all be good to each other and take care of each other. And what, Willie? Oop. Peace out. Oh, peace out, y'all. Bye. No more pizza. There's no more pizza.